Should we all clap really loud and try to convince them that something exciting is happening here? Would that be something that we can do? So, ready? 1, 2, 3. Please come into the auditorium. We're getting started. Thank you. I don't know. There's a few people trickling in. Before we even get started, I want to start off first thanking you for coming. Welcome back. And I want to give a thank you to really the folks who helped put this together. There's a lot of people behind the scenes doing work. So first of all, I want to thank Alfred Brown and the rest of the Laney catering crew. And we can wait for applause till the end. They set up the lunch and the breakfast. Laney Facilities, Kanetta Barnett, gave me a golf tour of all the rooms. She's around here, she's back there. It was amazing. That's the only way to figure out Laney's rooms, is by golf cart. Amy Marshall and Derek Lee from the facilities office. From AV, we have Angel Hunter, Alejandro Acosta, Dale Nabetta, Jim Stein, and from Tech, Rupinda Bhatia. From the Office of Academic Affairs, Laura Leon Maurice, Damaris Carrillo, Constance Koo, and Violetta have been helping out in the back. And from PFT, we have Kayla, who's helped out, and Mike Moore from the copy room. The people who have really helped me think about professional development has been the PD chairs. So Jenny Yap, Chris Weidenbach, Sabine Sandu, Tom Remberger, and Sean McDougall. If they're here, do you mind standing up and just getting a little applause? I can see Chris here. Tom is over here. We've done a lot of just thinking about what we really want to try to do. And I know PD days sometimes aren't the most exciting thing, but I'm incredibly inspired by the work and the thinking that has gone into it, and I hope that we can begin to deliver some quality time together. Dr. Siri Brown has been a great kind of mentor and collaborator around this work too, so she's here. I'm helping think about all this. And my predecessors, Cleavon Smith and Miriam Zamora-Cantor, have been really helpful in kind of helping me understand the paperwork and everything. And I'm sorry if I've missed anyone. First of all, thank you for RSVPing. We had way more than I was expecting. There's like nearly 400 people who had RSVP'd, although they're not here. And I know some people actually RSVP'd like 3 times, because I was like looking down the list, I'm like, they're very hungry. They're getting 3 box lunches. So that means we were slightly, I don't know if the food to people ratio was really matched up well, so I apologize in advance if we run out of food. This morning, we're going to be rolling through the morning without a break. So if you need to take a bio break, just take one. But you may miss out on the raffles. We have some tremendous raffle prizes that we're going to be handing out in the middle and the end of this morning session. And some video watch. So I think that's a good amount of time of me chattering about logistics. First of all, my name's Scott Hoshida. The gender pronouns that I prefer are he and him. I'm an English faculty at Berkeley City College, and I'm an unafraid educator. If you haven't, I have this sheet out here, and this comes from the Immigrants Rising Project. We have a student panel, students from the Undocumented Resources, or Undocumented Community Resource Center speaking, and one of the packets that I found was this great piece that you can then put in your window. And a lot of people say, I want to leave from Flex Day with one thing that is very useful. Leave with this, right? Put your name on it, let's get it up, let's be in support of our undocumented students. So I want to leave that there. And I want to just say this is my 11th year as a faculty member, full-time faculty member. And I find it quite odd that I'm sitting up here and not up there, because usually I'm up there working on my syllabus. All right, I got some thumbs up, or my Canvas show. But I feel really lucky to be up here because I've had a chance to work with a lot of people across the district as a coordinator for the Faculty Diversity Internship Program, as a PFT rep. And I really think that what we wanted, after talking with the PD chairs, after doing some assessments, some of the things that we really want to do is to start connecting with each other a little bit. So we're going to do a quick warm-up, 3 minutes. I've been thinking a lot about the first days of school. My 5-year-old just started kindergarten on Monday, and that night I asked him, how do you feel about kindergarten? And he said he's both excited and a little nervous. And I feel like that ambivalence is something usually I feel up there, right? You're about to meet 150 students who you have to prove that you're smart as an instructional teacher, that you're likable, that you're going to be tough on them in a way that's useful to them. And that, to me, like, even though we're supposed to be super excited to start, it's actually kind of nerve-wracking to think about. And it's nerve-wracking to think about any first day. And so I want you to think about a first day. It could be first day at the job, first day at school, first day here. What does that first day feel like? Who do you lean on for support? And how does it feel to get that support? So I would love for you to just chat with someone next to you, maybe someone new, just to think about that first day and who feels like. And I would like one other thing. I want you to practice, if you're daring, to practice introducing yourself using your preferred gender pronoun. So for me, it's he and him. Practice using that as a way of thinking about being open. And if you haven't switched, please make sure both people get a chance to talk or invite people into your conversation. All right, 10 seconds. All right. I would love to hear just quickly some shouts from the crowd. How did it feel on the first day of whatever it is you're thinking about? Butterflies. Earthquake? 19, really? That's crazy. What other first day feelings? Anxiety. Self-doubt. Excitement. Confidence. So those are feelings I feel right now. It's my first day as SDO kind of MC. How does it feel to get support from somebody? Good. What else? Belief. We're in this together. What's that? Grateful. And those are feelings that hopefully that we have for each other, or those are feelings that we want to actually develop as a community, if we consider ourselves a community. And so I always like to think about this, and I was thinking about my kid. It's like he gave me a big hug, and we snuggled. And we can't really snuggle together, it's not appropriate. But we can think about those feelings as we're thinking about how we help each other through these first couple of weeks, as we try to think about how we even meet together. I know we have very challenging issues in front of us, things that we'll disagree on, but that doesn't mean that we aren't in community with each other in some way, shape, or form. And just that kind of is the theme today about working together and how we come to work together. We talked a lot about the assessments that were done last year at the Flex Day and some assessments that I've sent out and that I'll continue to publicize. But really, people want to feel reconnected and inspired in some way. They want to leave with something practical, and you want to build on something from the past. And I've tried to design the day kind of with those things in mind. So we're going to, just to walk through the agenda, the way we're going to get there, we're going to do shared governance, welcomes. We'll have 2 in-house presentations, and they are also excited and nervous. The community's practice of math and community-based non-credit classes. There's going to be some raffle. We'll have lunch entertainment by one of our staff members at the district, Constance Koo, a harpist. And then the afternoon sessions will really be focused on a few things. So the first session is on communities of practice. There's also a student panel. I'll go through that stuff a little bit more. 2:30, the second session is more about meetings and trainings, and then the afternoon will be the dialogue with the district and more training. So that's the day, okay? So to get us rolling, I would love to invite, I should have said this before, but the shared governance folks to come up. We're going to start off with, is there anyone from Local 39 here to present? I didn't. Okay, let's start off with Richard Tholley and then Robert Tracy. Want everyone in shared governance come up over here so we can get this going pretty quickly, and then we'll get you started. Let's give them a hand. These are folks who have been voted into leadership positions at each of our campuses.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Richard Tholley, and I work as the District Admissions and Records Clerk. I'm honored and enthusiastic to represent our members as the SEIU 1021 Chapter President. The members of our union's chapter constitute the majority of classified staff throughout the Peralta Community College District. Next to me is our classified professional, Terrence Fisher. He's a network technician at the James Oliver Community Writing Center, right here at Laney College. He also dedicates his energy and service to our members as the COPE coordinator for our SEIU 1021 Peralta chapter. Our union's Local 1021 represents about 60,000 employees strong. And at Peralta, our permanent classified membership is above 90%. And in the last few months, our total membership has actually grown more than 10%. Nevertheless, public sector unions have been under attack for years by way of state legislation or Supreme Court decision, and membership has declined in many places, even where unions continue to represent teachers and other public sector workers. All unions need to work collaboratively now more than ever. At Peralta, we have PFT, Local 39, and SEIU 1021. And I believe we must commit to strengthening our alliance as fellow union members, fighting for better pay, working conditions, and benefits. As union members and as colleagues, we must continue to support each other and move forward together with mutual respect and professional courtesy. In this same spirit of mutual respect and practicing professional courtesy, I urge that managers and administrators, faculty and staff work together with the focused intent to help address and solve some of the new and long-standing issues plaguing Peralta. I welcome all of us, the Chancellor, our Board of Trustees, faculty, administrators, and classified staff to work together to inform, question, and help resolve those same issues and exemplify the integrity that befits an educational institution by practicing mutual respect and professional courtesy. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Robert Tracy, and I'm the Classified Senate President of the greatest college in the nation, Laney College. I'll be very brief. I think Richard pretty much said everything that needed to be said. Just understand that now is the time for all of us to come together. This should be an idea and a movement of one team, one dream, and a united Peralta once and for all. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I am not Jennifer Shanowski, our fearless union president. She is much taller than I am. And she's also much smarter and fiercer than I am. I'm just a little old counselor from College of Alameda. I do have skills. I'm very good at Zumba and karaoke. These skills are going to prove useless in this welcome address. However, if I start to tank, could you just cue the music, okay? And you're gonna see me shine. Okay. So let's get started on the welcome address, because this is a this is a doozy, this one. I'm gonna tell you about what's been happening, and I'm gonna tell you about what we're going to be doing, because this is a very pivotal semester. And let's start with that Supreme Court decision. And boo! Okay, let's put this in context, right? Heart and soul of all unions is collective bargaining. It's when we, as a union, sit down with the district and negotiate for better wages and working conditions. And you know that. What you may not know is that we, as a bargaining unit, negotiate for all faculty, and that's by law. We must represent union members and non-union members alike. And you probably can figure out, collective bargaining is very expensive. So, how do we pay for that? Well, faculty members who are union members pay dues. And up until this summer, non-union members would pay what was called fair share fees. And this was to help the union cover the cost of the benefit that the non-union members were incurring. That ended. That ended this summer with the Janus decision. The Janus decision said that while the union is still legally responsible to represent all faculty members and all unit members in the collective bargaining, and this includes protection of the contract through grievances and grievance hearings, non-union members are no longer responsible to pay for any of that cost through the fair share fee, right? So let's be clear. This has been posed as a free speech issue. This is not a free speech issue. This was a case that was brought by very well-funded institutions that have ties to corporate lobbyists, powerful corporate lobbyists, for the sole reason of union busting. We saw this coming. PFT and the other unions, we saw this coming, and a year ago we started a union drive, and we started a membership drive, and we knew we had to engage our membership, to talk to everybody, to remind us all what it is we gain by being a part of a union, and by asking our faculty to recommit to the union through a renewed membership form that looked like this. This summer, it continued. We were at campuses, we were walking classrooms, we were calling, we even did home visits. Yeah, home. Ladies and gentlemen, I share with you that when this Janus decision was decided, we already had 85% of our faculty who had agreed to stand strong with the union. This is a miracle. Other campuses they can't believe what we managed to do. And so I am happy to share with you that we're not done. That last 15%, if we haven't gotten to you, please see the table out front. We're also asking that everyone stand in solidarity, wear your buttons, be union strong, because we at Peralta, we are union strong. Next, this summer, we needed to be union strong because we wasted no time in translating that renewed energy into action. During the summer, over 30 students and faculty attended the summer Board of Trustee meetings to speak loudly against the proposed budget cuts that we all heard about as we were leaving for the summer. Lo and behold, we all returned to campus with the news that many of the cuts had been rescinded. So we're counting this as a win. Woohoo! And we're grateful to everyone who answered that call to stand up. Speaking of the budget, looking at other work we've done with work to the future, the district is going to be going out for 2 measures in the November election, a bond measure and the parcel tax extension. Now, as you know, PFT has been very vocal about our concerns regarding how that parcel tax money has been spent. And this summer, we've been in a lot of conversations with the district about accountability for future parcel tax dollars. We're very hopeful that the commitments that we've received from the district regarding that money going to the classroom will come to fruition. And it's up to us to hold them accountable. Continuing with the November election and continuing what we're going to be doing going into the fall, there's a lot going on, including the 2 measures. We have 3 Board of Trustees who are up for election. As you know, and I just want to be really clear, your union dues are not used for political purposes. For this, we have an organization called COPE, and many of you are members of COPE, and that is our political arm. And COPE's going to be really active doing political organizing this fall. I hope that you respond to the call for canvassing and phone banking and even maybe a bus trip or 2. At 2:30 today, COPE is going to be having a meeting, and I hope you join us, especially if you're interested in political action. Looking at the, pardon? Do you have a little piece of paper? I know, I don't know. I'm saying, do you have a little piece of paper? I don't know. I think it's here at Laney. E202A. Thank you. I feel so supported right now. Okay, so last I want to talk about what we're going to be doing, and that is we have contract negotiations coming up. Even with the parcel tax and the bond measure in place, Peralta's budget situation is no doubt dire. And this brings us back to the collective bargaining. This is tough to say, especially for a little old counselor like me. So I am going to channel the fierceness and fearlessness of Jennifer Shanowski. Maybe I'll get a little Siri in here too. And I'm going to say it, because it has to be said. It's going to be really tough, and I'm going to keep it real. Negotiations are going to be difficult as long as the district pleads poverty. We are convinced, we have seen the numbers. We are not a poor district, but we do know this. We have an increasingly large and very well-paid district administration staff that relies heavily on expensive contractors that are outside of the shared governance process. So we need to be strong together to hold our administration accountable in these upcoming contracts. We think that there are wins to be had, and we know what's at stake. We are increasingly reliant on a part-time staff, a part-time faculty that is many underpaid. They do not have the benefits they deserve, nor the job security they deserve. We think there are wins to be had, and we will be calling upon all of you to stand together, full-time, part-time, and classified professionals together to hold our district accountable and to get the wins that we know we deserve in this faculty thing. Thank you. Was that good? Was I fierce? Felt fierce. Okay, now here's the good part. Now here's the part where I invite you to a beverage. Once again, PFD will be hosting Welcome Back Faculty Happy Hours, and at the good old College of Alameda, if the classified professional would like to join, I'm happy to pick up the tab for you too. Watch your email for invitations. We'll also be sending you an announcement about chapter meetings and general meetings at each of the campuses throughout the semester, as well as other events for you to get involved in your invigorated, active, and strong union. Thank you, and have a great semester.
Buenos dias. Mary did some good channeling of Mary, didn't she? Big hand. I'm going to channel Mario Rivas, Young Thug from North Oakland. Okay, that's me. Well, that's not me anymore, but I was. I'm now the Senate President in my 4th year. I'm retiring this year, big time. And I'm the Senate President at Merritt College, one of the 4 beautiful colleges. You know, big, PC. We're all together one, right? We're all together one. The Senates have a district academic senate to try to create unity among the Senates. Each of the Senates is meant to empower faculty to assert the 10+1 voice given by state law. One of the big ones, program planning and budget development. This summer, yesterday, we had our first Senate plenary at Berkeley City College. It was very well attended. It was very powerful to increase leadership and strong voices of faculty in the district to make our colleges better for our communities. That's what it's about. That's the basic thing. So I just want to hit some big things. First of all, I want to recognize our presidents, Fred Burgoyne, who is the new Senate President at Laney College. Is Fred here? Thank Donald Moore, who is the outgoing Senate President at Laney College, for all the work, and he's going to continue, hopefully, with the District Academic Senate. Rochelle Olive from Alameda College, Senate President, and Kelly Purnell, Berkeley City College. Can I please have senators from the colleges stand up? Senators on the academic senates from the colleges, could you please stand? Let's give them a big hand. Okay. Faculty leadership. The plenary was about faculty leadership. I want to talk about some specific issues. Day before yesterday, I went to a planning meeting for the PBIM, which is the shared governance body for the district, and the district academic senate, the academic senates are asserting a strong voice within shared governance to make it shared. It needs to be shared. Everybody hear me? It needs to be shared. And we will assert that. Presidents, listen to it. College presidents, vice presidents, deans, everybody, we need to have shared governance. Specifically, let me tell you why. At that meeting, strategic goal setting. We didn't affirm, our district didn't affirm our strategic goals last year. We talked about it all year. Why haven't we affirmed them? We didn't assess them for the previous year. We're now assessing last year. And this Friday, we're going to set our new strategic goals for the district. And they should come out of our strategic goals from the colleges. We need to have faculty there at that meeting because we need to assert our voice in planning related to student success, to student access, equity, you name it. We need to do it. So that's going to be an important thing. Each of the senates will be defining their goals for this year. We should be looking at the big issues, guided pathways. We are doing guided pathways, okay? It's not a matter of debate now. We're doing it, but we're doing it to empower student success. We're not just doing it to do it. And so let's get faculty involved in leadership. The 4 pillars, one of the big ones, ensuring that learning is happening in the classroom, using data. We have to, and this is another reality, I'm retiring so I can talk more liberally. Administrators, we know the reality of it. I was an administrator for 7 years at BCC. Administrators come and go, right? Who doesn't come and go? Faculty and classified staff. We need to assert our voice by organizing ourselves, our thoughts, our ideas, and plan with administrators. I'm not talking about dog administrators. I'm not talking about doing administrators in. Working with administrators, asserting our voice to make sure that the theme that goes like Scott here is developing with professional development, the theme that goes forward is a community theme, not some theme that we give to administrators, right? Come on, bigger head than that. AB 705, we need to be involved in that. We need to be involved in integrated planning each of the colleges. We need to be involved in distance ed. Whoa! Because we're not doing a good job in distance ed. So who needs to put it together? Faculty, administration, classified students. That's the common voice. But we as faculty have the 10+1 by law. We need to assert it. I challenge and support and love each one of you to get together at your colleges, join your senates. Come on, we need to make our senate stronger and use our voice to challenge the chancellor. Where is he? There he is. Challenge the chancellor, to challenge the presidents, to challenge everybody, but challenge ourselves. That's the bottom line. Challenge ourselves to be powerful. Buenos dias, and move forward this year.
Can we give another hand to our shared governance leadership for the inspiring messages? Thank you for your leadership and your service. I'd like to, the next part is the Chancellor's address, so I'd like to invite Chancellor Joel Laguerre to come up to give a few words. Let's give him a hand. Thank you for coming up. And we'll need to switch to his slide deck, too. Slide deck. Do you want me to do this?
Yeah, I'm going to try.
Just click that button.
Which one? The right one?
Yeah, right to
Okay, the right one. Well, good morning, everyone. Okay. May I have, so Scott, I have plenty of time left, right? 40 minutes? Is it? Yeah, it's about 30 minutes, right? 26? Yeah, 26. I have to negotiate time with them. I'd like to ask all of our new faculty to please stand so we can see you. New faculty to join us. Thank you, and be seated. So glad to have you with us. Any new administrators from our colleges and district office? And any new classified staff members with us? They are working. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Let's applaud them anyway. So on the announcement, you saw that there is communication with the district this afternoon at 4 o'clock. It's actually set up as a budget hearing. This will be a time when the district office is going to share. Dr. Icaro, where are you going? Is our sergeant here? Oh, you're going to get him, okay. Because I needed you for the next part. We will be sharing the budget with you. This is the first time that we're doing it since I've been chancellor, so that more of you would know what the budget is about and be able to ask questions before we present the budget to the board to be approved. At this time, I would like to ask not Lieutenant Verbeck, because he must be on vacation or something. We have a couple of our officers who are going to introduce a video to you, and then I'll come back after that.
Morning, everyone. Can you all hear me? Am I screaming? Sorry. Sergeant Rene Basilio. This is Officer Tony Bridges. We're here today to introduce a video which some of you have seen. Some of the new faculty here, this might be new to you. It's a sensitive, scary, disturbing subject of active shooter. Most of you know Officer Bridges, correct? Hi. I'm new to Peralta. I'm a 17-year veteran with the Alameda County Sheriff's Office, but I came to Peralta in December of 2017. So nice to meet everyone. I brought him here for moral support because I'm not the best public speaker. Yeah, it's not really where I shine. I shine on the dance floor as well. So that's kind of my thing. Actually, I was kind of hesitant to bring Officer Bridges up here with me just because he's so tall and he makes me look short. But I am a tall Filipino. But yeah. Thank you. So again, I'm here to introduce the video. It is a sensitive, again, disturbing video. It's something I'm passionate about, not only as a law enforcement officer, but as a father and a human being. So without further ado, we'll play the video.
It may feel like just another day at the office, but occasionally, life feels more like an action movie than reality. The authorities are working hard to protect you and to protect our public spaces. But sometimes bad people do bad things. Their motivations are different. The warning signs may vary, but the devastating effects are the same. And unfortunately, you need to be prepared for the worst. If you were ever to find yourself in the middle of an active shooter event, your survival may depend on whether or not you have a plan. The plan doesn't have to be complicated. There are 3 things you could do that make a difference: run, hide, fight. First and foremost, if you can get out, do. Always try and escape or evacuate, even when others insist on staying. Encourage others to leave with you, but don't let them slow you down with indecision. Remember what's important, you, not your stuff. Leave your belongings behind and try to find a way to get out safely. Trying to get yourself out of harm's way needs to be your #1 priority. Once you are out of the line of fire, try to prevent others from walking into the danger zone and call 911. If you can't get out safely, you need to find a place to hide. Act quickly and quietly. Try to secure your hiding place the best you can. Turn out lights, and if possible, remember to lock doors. Silence your ringer and vibration mode on your cell phone. And if you can't find a safe room or closet, try to conceal yourself behind large objects that may protect you. Do your best to remain quiet and calm. As a last resort, if your life is at risk, whether you are alone or working together as a group, fight. Act with aggression. Improvise weapons. Disarm him. And commit to taking the shooter down, no matter what. Try to be aware of your environment. Always have an exit plan. Know that in an incident like this, victims are generally chosen randomly. The event is unpredictable and may evolve quickly. The first responders on the scene are not there to evacuate or tend to the injured. They are well trained and are there to stop the shooter. Your actions can make a difference for your safety and survival. Be aware and be prepared. And if you find yourself facing an active shooter, there are 3 key things you need to remember to survive. Run, hide, fight.
So again, I apologize. I know the subject matter is a little, it's a downer. The vibe was kind of up prior to the video, so I apologize about that. The video is a little outdated, but the subject matter is current, so that's it. Thanks for having me.
I want to thank our officers for joining us. We appreciate what you do, and the fact that we can count on you to support us. If people have questions, you can send emails to Dr. Ikaro, Siddiq Ikaro, and he will make sure that gets them to our officers, who will then give you the answers. Okay, so thank you again for being here today. I asked Kat to move the slides for me because I forgot to, and I tend to forget to do that. I want to assure you that we are very committed to working with our shared governance process, as Mario so clearly indicated that we have no choice but to do that. But we really want to make sure that this coming year and hopefully years after that we can really all work together to transform Peralta in what we all want it to be. Hearing Richard's word this morning from SEIU gave me a lot of comfort in that we have the leadership of our unions as well as shared governance, as you heard from all of them, to really work together and make Peralta a much better place, a place that we can all be happy to be. This is not part of my presentations, but one of the things that I want to let you know is that we do have a new funding formula, and you will learn about it this afternoon when you go to the budget hearing. That is really challenging the state of California, all of our community colleges. There are a lot of community colleges that are doing very well with the new funding formula, and there are some that are hurting. In the Bay Area, in the Bay 10, Peralta happens to be one that is not hurting as much as the other colleges are. Most of the other colleges receive the COLA. Peralta was able to do a little bit better than the COLA. So that if you heard the news of things getting better, is because when we heard from the state what our budget will be, it was much better than we had anticipated. And then sometimes they say it's better to be lucky than to be good, or some like that we say in English. I made a decision last year for us not to claim the summer FTES that we had earned during the summer, and to use it instead for the current year. Many things transpired since then, and it became very challenging. But as the state introduced this new formula, it ended up being a major blessing for us, because we are able to use these FTS that we didn't claim last year, not only for this year, but also for next year and the year after. So that is one of the reasons why our budget has gotten much better than we had anticipated that it was going to be. So you have the video, and if you could go to the next slide, Scott. We had some resource conversations last year, March 2008. Several of us went through all of the colleges to talk about, to hear from you the different needs that exist within the colleges. And so with that process, the next slide, we gathered ideas that you all shared, and we're very happy with that. Sharon Cornu went back to the colleges and shared what we have heard from all of you. We heard needs that exist in facilities, information technology, systems planning, and leaders and departments from across the district really now will be asked to come together to quantify, now that we've identified what the needs are. And we're not done, because I think there are several needs that have not been identified. There are some that personally I have spoken with the faculty about. For example, parity for part-time faculty was not part of on that list, but something we want to consider, something we need to work toward. For employees who were with us before July 1, 2004, there is lifetime healthcare benefits, but for the ones who came after that, there is not that. That's something we do want to consider. And so we do have a lot to put together so that we can really determine what the needs of the district are, and we're going to continue to do that work. So overall, we received almost 900 ideas for resources, so we do have a lot to work on. And then from that, for the next slide, you're going to see some of what we heard: staffing levels, systems and structures, training, professional development, culture and values, and I think that resonates really well with what we heard this morning from shared governance. New funding sources, budget allocation for the colleges, communications. And there is also, there was quite a bit of conversations as well in terms of the district office budget, so we heard that as well. And this summer, as I met with PFT colleagues, we talked about that and have plans to really take all of those into considerations. So if you look at the next slide, you're going to see that there are quite a few good ideas that have come up, and we intend to use those in order for us to move forward. So we want to thank everyone who participated in the exercise. Want you to know that we're going to move forward with quantifying what these ideas are going to cost us, and then set out to establish what partnerships we can have to help us meet those needs. The next set of slides that I'm sharing with you are really things that we have to consider when we look at the new environment we have at our colleges. The state of California has, the legislature has passed different laws that ask us to really consider the gender equity for our faculty and our staff, and it's important that we become really knowledgeable about them. While I'm not going to spend a lot of time speaking about them, when we had training this past Friday, I made the commitment to the administrators and encourage them to do everything that they can so that we can all become knowledgeable about what the new laws are and the protections that are provided for our faculty, staff, and students. And so you'll see some new definitions or definitions that are part of the laws that's important for us to know. And I will make sure not only that your presidents and administrators share this information with you, but we'll also include them in CDirect that you can all have and make sure that you have the right information. The next slide talked about preferred names and pronouns, and I think that's one that for our work environment as well as our classroom, that's really, really critical for us to pay attention to. So we must honor the request for our employees to identify themselves by the preferred gender, name, or pronoun. And so we need to do that. The legislature asked that we do that as employers, but as faculty, staff, as we serve our students, we also need to make sure that faculty and staff honor our students with the same consideration. An employee may wish to change from using she, her, hers to he, him, his, or vice versa. A student will choose to do the same, and we need to be aware of that and honor that for our students. And an employee may request to be addressed by gender-neutral pronouns, such as the singular they, them, their. And so the same thing applies to our students when it comes to the classroom. Again, your presidents and administrators will talk more about those. And some employees may request to be addressed by their name only and by no pronouns at all. And some students will request, may want the same thing. So we want to make sure that we honor our students as we need to honor our faculty and staff the same way. At the end of the day, it is really about respect and creating an environment where all of our faculty, staff, as well as our students, feel that they are honored with what they determine for themselves. So it's important for us to really pay attention to that. And I want, by focusing on it today, I want you to know that from the board and from myself, we are very committed to that, and we invite you to be committed to having a work as well as a learning environment that are free of bias and that are supportive of our faculty, our staff, and our students. Thank you, and I very much look forward to continuing to work on that. The next one, so district office administrators is a topic that people have talked about and have said a lot of things about. And I, from time to time, you know, it's, if I spend my time defending everything that's not correct about statements that people make, I wouldn't have time to do anything else as a chancellor. So I've chosen often to remain quiet and hoping that people will know that there is probably something else going on. But today I wanted to share with you, and I'm going to send this to you as well so you can look at it and verify it yourself and all of that. I wanted to share with you just a couple of slides on the administration from the district office I inherited and the one that, that is currently in place for 2018-2019. One of the challenges that we have in general within our administration, and as Mario Rivas, who's going to retire, shared, the administration changes a lot more often than the faculty and the staff. So as we look at the charts, people change all the time. As a matter of fact, we have last Friday, I received the resignation of somebody, an administrator from the district office. So, so what I share with you will change, but we are determined to keep it updated. That first one is there? Okay, so in 2014-15, there was a chancellor, Ortiz, and then 18-19, we still have somebody named Laguerre, as you saw there. So if you go on down the line, so there was a deputy chancellor. I changed that to a chief of staff. Actually, we decreased the salary for that person. And currently the position is vacant because, as you may remember, Yashika Crawford was our chief of staff, and she left us to become a faculty member instead at College of Moraine, where she's doing exceptionally well, and we have not replaced that position. But then if you look at finance, still finance, and HR, still HR. And by the way, speaking of HR, our wonderful Trudy Largent retired. We miss her, but we are very happy to have Ms. Whitaker with us. The position that you see that we put eliminated here was a new one that we knew was not going to be permanent. It was the Vice Chancellor, Executive Vice Chancellor for Partnership and Outreach. It was a position that we knew it either was going to be self-funded or that wasn't going to exist for a long time, so that position is not there. So if you look at from 14-15, that's one that we did carry for 2 years, that's no longer there. And then the rest of them are pretty much the same or have been eliminated. One of the things that I tried to do as much as I can, go to the next slide, that I tried to do as much as I can is to reallocate positions instead of new ones. So as you look at the positions from wherever they were, you will see that there could be a different title that as opposed to the one that you had before, but pretty much the names remain the same. Now, after I shared this with with my faculty colleague, I love my faculty colleagues. They then said, no, well, yeah, you probably didn't add a lot of people. Because I kept thinking, I don't know that I've added that many people. I keep counting my people, they keep remaining the same. They said, no. The salaries have increased by a lot. And then I was struck with a number that at one point before I came, we were spending $700,000, and now we're spending $1.3 million. And I know that the figure is not correct, but I'm going to work with our faculty colleague so we can fix that. So I want you to know that we do want to make sure, and that's a commitment, I think that is a state law, that we spend 50% of at least 50% of our funding on instruction. We're very committed to that, and we will continue to do everything that we can to be committed to that. But as I interacted with my PFT colleagues over the summer, it was only one time, we promised to meet again. But as we interacted, we do want to make sure that we make things as clear as possible. And where we need to make adjustments, if somehow we need to cut the number of administrators so we can increase number of faculty, we are determined to work on that, but to work on it together. It is fairly easy to say to the chancellor, we'd like for you to do this, but it is a little bit more difficult for us to come together and do that. And I think, again, Richard's message this morning, as well as Mario Rivers's and Mary's too. Where's Mary? To a great extent, too. You were great, by the way. I have 1 minute left. Really ask us to sit down and work together. I believe that if, as Peralta, I believe, especially with the new funding formula, if we come together, we are going to be a force to reckon with. And then I'll mention one more thing. Jennifer Shanowski came to me and showed me, and then she keeps talking about it every time I see her, that our salaries for faculty is 72nd out of 72 districts. So it's one that I said, let's commit ourselves together to make sure that we solve it. Let's not just leave it to one person, according to Mario, who may not be here forever, but let's really commit as a faculty, as a staff, to address this issue, and you have my commitment for that. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful academic year.
All right. A lot of times I'd like to ask the math community of practice folks to come up, and I'll introduce the introduction, just to kind of frame the day. So sometimes we come to Flex Days and there's someone who's from outside coming to say, these are some things to consider. Maybe these are some things that you're doing wrong. Maybe this is some way you can, fix yourself. And I thought, we also have chairs over there that if you could, I think we have 4 chairs over there we can drag out. Sorry, I'm making you do the stage prep too. But we were thinking about, why don't we invite people from within Peralta to present some of the great projects that are already happening, and to emphasize the collaboration that's happening. There's many, 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 many other awesome things happening, and so these are just a few. And so today is really a chance to do that. I want to bring up Lisa Cook. So once you come up here, the reason I'm asking Lisa to introduce this community practice is because, well, she's the dean at BCC, but I know that her time at Laney, she really helped seed some of these things in the ESOL department and also as the academic senate president. And I thought she'd be the best person. She's actually the one who emailed me many of the materials. She'd be the best person to at least kind of frame this discussion, introduce this community practice. Great.
Good morning. I'm Lisa Cook, Dean of Liberal Arts, Social Sciences, and Mathematics at BCC. My preferred pronouns are she, her, hers. Student Equity and Achievement, Canvas, AB 540, Strong Workforce Program, Adult Education Block Grant, Noncredit, dual enrollment, student-centered funding formula, State Chancellor's Vision for Success, Basic Skills and Student Outcomes Transformation, AB 705, Guided Pathways. I don't know about you, but I'm having trouble keeping up. We struggle with initiative fatigue, and yet these initiatives present us with important opportunities to better serve our students. At the same time, we are challenged to change not only what we do, but how we do it. In some ways, we will need to change our practice. To do this, we must find new and better ways to work together across roles, across departments, colleges, the district, the state, and even across our K-12 and higher ed systems. Overwhelmed? Well, one promising model for doing this work is creating a community of practice. Simply put, a community of practice is a group of concerned individuals who come together around a challenge and stay together until they meet their individual and group goals in changing their practice. How is a COP different than a working group? The activities of a COP are intentionally designed to provide opportunities for individuals who may not do so otherwise to connect, develop a shared context, capture and share knowledge, collaborate, organize, and generate new knowledge. It is my privilege today to introduce one faculty group of several in the district who have been engaging in COPs across their departments, the district, and region to improve student outcomes in mathematics in light of the challenges and opportunities presented by the Basic Skills and Student Outcomes Transformation and AB 705 and other changes in legislation with our partners. Let's give it up for Christine Williams, Kelly Purnell, Kathy Williamson, Dan Lawson, and Vanson Nguyen.
I think there's a microphone on the chair. Does it work?
Does it work?
Here's the clicker.
Oh, all right. That's okay. So we click forward. So welcome, everyone. We are the math department, district-wide math department. So I'm here to, I'm Kelly Purnell from Berkeley City College. I go by she and her, and I can accept they as well. And I'm here to talk about the history of how we got together and just our introduction here. Our objective here was we're all in this together, strength in numbers, and we're here to support each other because we all share the same students. A couple years ago, Kathy and I were involved in various initiatives, the California Acceleration Project that was trying to bring pre-statistics to all the various community colleges. We participated in Bridging the Gap, which is a consortium of Oakland Unified School District, Berkeley's High School, and Peralta colleges and Cal State East Bay faculty. And we spent some time every Friday working together on how to transition students from each of those segments. And then a couple years ago, all of us district-wide by ourselves were tasked with multiple measures assessment project, and the Common Assessment Initiative. And that led to all of us thinking, we got to get together and talk. We have to actually work together here because we're all asked the same thing, and we could actually do this together instead of by ourselves. So we took it upon ourselves to just set up a monthly, do you want to gather the slides here? A monthly district-wide math meeting. And that is held every third Friday of the month, and we change campuses. It's usually on a Friday afternoon from 2:30 to 4:30, and the host college provides food, and we develop an agenda. The host college usually runs that meeting, and we discuss things like the schedule. We discuss things curriculum, what kind of curriculum changes we need to make, because we've got a common course management system. We all have to have, and we have the same math classes. We have to have the same prerequisites lined up. So that's how we got started. And really all of those initiatives, so we can actually make a little game here if we want. It's like, yes, AB 705 is on the horizon, but it was our Basic Skills Transformation Grant that allowed us to create weekly communities of practice. And so I'm going to pass it over to the leaders of some of those communities of practices for the various new courses that we offered under our Basic Skills Transformation Grant. So I think that goes to Dan. There you go.
Oh, hello everyone. My name is Dan Lawson. I'm chair of the Math and Physical Sciences Department at Merritt College. My pronouns are he and him. So one of the things that, one of our accomplishments that we were able to achieve district-wide over the course of the past couple of years was to completely redesign our pre-transfer level math sequence. And what is reflected here on the new side is what we were able to create. We did this in consultation and in coordination with all of the 4 campuses, but not all of us have the exact same courses here. I think all of the campuses have Math 230, and only Laney and Merritt have Math 240, and currently only Laney and Merritt have Math 261, although the rest of the campuses were planning to. But we actually have some new information that came out this summer, which is going to sort of shake this entire thing up. But, that's all right. So our goal here is the same goal as what's in AB 705, which we're going to discuss in a little bit, which is to try to get students to the transfer level and get them to succeed at the transfer level in a more efficient and actually have it happen in a non-zero way. Oh, sure, we can go here. And some of the benefits of the community of practice that allow us to create all of these things is, for one thing, the fact that we were coming together on a regular basis as departments and as individual communities of practice working on different projects is we're able to broaden our network of people that actually share our goals. And we always talk about at Merritt College, at any particular institution, you talk about how your department is a silo and you don't know what's going on. If you're in math, you don't know what's going on in English or in psychology or in African American studies. Well, the same thing happens even if you're in math at Merritt College. You might not know what's going on in math at College of Alameda or Laney or Berkeley City College unless you build these networks. And so it's a very valuable thing to do that, because then you can find other people that you never would have met, even though they just work across the across the bridge or downtown or wherever. And one thing that makes that very helpful is that then you know that you're part of a team. You know that you have the support network. We were talking about support earlier. Earlier we had the slide showing the complete curriculum redesign that we created, and that was a lot of work. And then earlier this summer, the state came out with their guidelines for how to implement AB 705. And what that meant was that a lot of that work was going to have to get scrapped and maybe done in a different way, And so the way we were doing it at Merritt College was not the way that the state was saying that it should be implemented, and it was actually more like the way that they were doing it at College of Alameda was the way the state was planning to implement it. But the fact that I knew that there was a model in our district that actually fit the state's implementation guidelines was a very valuable thing for me. And the fact that I knew that I felt comfortable that even though I've done all this work for implementing this particular curriculum at Merritt College, I felt comfortable that there was a network of people that I could sit down with and get this done. And I knew that, over the course of the next academic year, we could all be on the same page. And I felt, I trust all these people and all of their colleagues at their campuses. And and the fact that I even know them and I know what they're doing and I know them well enough to trust them is a very valuable thing for me personally. Yes, please.
I just wanted to add that we didn't all do exactly the same thing at each college. Like, some of us worked together to create these classes and to change the way that we were teaching, and some people worked on changing the way they taught in a different way. And so that's why College of Alameda had their own thing that was a little separate. BCC also had some parts that were a little separate than what, Merritt and Laney, actually, we kind of aligned completely. But it's like we all knew what was happening and we were all informed about what was happening. And so it was really a good thing for us, even though we did different things, to know what each other was doing because of these changes that happened. And now we can all just steal Vanson's courses, right? All the stuff that he wrote in curriculum, like we could just take them and we can now utilize them as our own, now that we know what we have to do given state guidelines. Anyways.
Yeah, and so so I encourage, if your discipline is not at doing this, I encourage you to do this. Like as Kelly was saying, this began as just having a monthly meeting of interested faculty from all of the math departments in the district. And then eventually we had separate communities of practice to create Math 261 and to create Math 230 and to create Math 240 and then we had separate meetings to discuss multiple measures. And so the fact that, but part of the way we were able to create all those communities of practice and create all that innovation and create all those relationships was just by starting to have meetings and starting to talk with each other. And so there's a time later on in today's agenda when you're all going to meet with the people in your discipline from other campuses, and I encourage you to use this as an opportunity to set up regular meetings throughout the rest of the year, throughout the rest of the semester, so that you can actually strengthen those relationships that you have.
Hi, I'm Christine Will. So we're going to talk about some of the community of practice successes that we had. So one of the things that came out of it was curriculum redesign, incorporating best practices. So although we're not continuing in the future, possibly the Math 240 because of AB 705, which was the community of practice I was in charge of, we learned best practices that can be applied to any course that we, if we use Vanson's course, then we can, incorporate these best practices. So guided lecture, group work, board work, time on task, technology, and study skills. So our classrooms now look completely different from where we started. We no longer, and that was due to, instructors, math instructors from across the colleges getting together, and that included both full-time and part-time voices in our meetings that were every Friday for a couple hours. It was a huge investment, but it was really worth it. And we learned a lot. We learned really, our pedagogy has changed completely. So embedded tutors, we now have embedded tutors in the classrooms, which we didn't have prior to that. And we meet with those tutors outside of class as well as inside of class. And we have integrated counseling, so we invited the counselors on occasion either to the classroom or to our meetings. And in addition, I have the counselor that was associated to my class the last year had access to my attendance roster. As I typed it, he was able to see who showed up that day and who didn't, and who he was going to make a phone call to, and so on. So it was great. It was fabulous. So, and in the past, I've heard a lot of folks saying, but the counselors, they don't know what's going on in the classroom. Well, our counselors did know what was going on in the classroom. So we invited also, I had a lot of athletes in my class last semester, and the athletic coaches came into my class and also stopped by, and I chatted with them at different times during the semester to see how the athletes were doing and so on. So it was really, really a wraparound situation for us, and it was fabulous. So.
Can I add something? Yeah. I just wanted to add real quick. Christine said that our classroom changed. It really, really changed. That was the biggest, I think, shift for us. Is most of us lecture to our classes, and we know that that's not the best way to learn. And so now our shift is really on making the students work in class. And having them show us their work and explain to each other how they come to their conclusions and how they come to their answers. And there's a lot more interaction on a more personal level within the classroom. And I feel like that was a really huge shift, right? Going from the quote-unquote sage on the stage, right, to letting the students shine and show us their work instead.
And I have one last, or one thing also to add to it, which is a personal takeaway for me, was that sense of community in our community of practice. I felt safe in being able to communicate with my colleagues while we piloted this course. This is not working in my class. Are your students doing the homework on time? And how often are you opening up the homework for them to be able to do? And just having that safety and trust in my colleagues and their support in being able to make suggestions or to validate that some of the struggles that I had, and it just continues to get better. Vanson, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. So before we move on to the next slide, I think I want to say two things. First thing is the way that we're presenting right here is lecture and not how we've transformed our classrooms. I want to make that clear. So if we were to emulate what we do now in our classrooms, like right now, first of all, there'd be dry erase boards all around, or there'd be big poster paper, and everyone would have data on their colleges, and we would say, what can you conclude, or create an argument using data to convince our administrators that we need more math classes or something like that. And tutoring. So, I mean, those would be the prompts or type of activities that you would see in class, as opposed to me just talking. Okay, so I want to make that clear. And the second thing I want to say is, they've called the courses Vanson's courses, like my courses. I would definitely like to give a shout out to my team, because it was definitely a team effort. Dr. Kalila Beal, Rich Kaiser, SCU, Deidre Baker, and some of our other part-time faculty. So it's definitely a team effort in doing this. Strength in numbers, right? Okay. I think Kelly's going to mention Be Silly later, so I'm not going to steal your thunder. Can you go to the next slide, please? So, Assembly Bill 705 passed at the beginning of, in October to be in effect in January 2018, and that requires all colleges to be in compliance by fall 2019. So some of the highlights that from this bill that we have discussed are up here, and some of them are going to be like really, really shocking. Like, for example, the top two. Colleges are required to maximize the likelihood that students will complete a transfer level math and English, thank you, course within 1 year. So we're just the math people here, and we've definitely been having these discussions for a while. And one way that we can do that this requirement of maximization is by having all students start in transfer level. And we'll get to that in a second. So for students who start in transfer level, the question might be like, oh my goodness, what if they fail? What if they're not ready? And so the one in the bottom left talks about having concurrent support courses, or what's known more generally as co-requisite courses. So think of your first-time student and got to take a math class. And like, oh my goodness, I'm in a transfer-level math class that maybe I wouldn't have been in. But then there's a linked 1 or 2 unit co-requisite support course. And so you got an extra unit or 2 of support. From the faculty perspective, it's a lifesaver. I'll just be honest with you, like that extra hour or 2, godsend. I mean, it's such a big deal. I mean, a student says, oh, I got a question. Great. I can answer it. I have time to answer it. As opposed to, oh, I need to get through all the material. So it's definitely good on both ends for both students and faculty. So we have co-requisite support courses for Math 13, Math 1, and Math 50. And so those are what I call the entry level transfer courses, if you will. Like calculus is not quite an entry-level, transfer-level course, but these are considered our entry-level courses. And then the last one, which is congruent with the theme of our discussion here, is that there's an opportunity to transform our classrooms that, well, hey, we got this extra hour, we got this extra 2 hours, we can do something dope in our classes. And not just one time, we can do it every week. We can do it every day because we got that extra time. And people often say, oh my goodness, group work takes so long. Guess what? We got more time now. So, I'm looking forward to this very much so. So at our math meeting later today, I think we're going to start talking about new district-wide communities of practice around these concurrent support or co-requisite support courses. Thank you. So, can you go back once? Okay, great. So those top two, the top two about max, thank you very much, Kathy. So the top two are the biggest ones, either in question or they scare people, or it's such a dramatic shift in paradigm about how to place students that I think people across all campuses are shook. Math faculty, English faculty, counselors, economics faculty, psychology faculty, chem faculty. Everyone's like, wow. And that's okay. You know, we definitely start. We gotta start somewhere. So the thought behind this, next slide please, is that if we start a student in a transfer level class, let's just say Math 13. Yeah, which is statistics. Thank you. If I'm a student, I take it, and I didn't pass that first semester, and then I take it again in spring, I am more likely to pass Math 13 that second time than if I took the route of starting in Math 203 and then starting in Math 13. Yeah, Math 203 is one level below, sorry. So that is what the statewide data strongly suggests. And it's like a big jump. It's like somewhere between a big jump. I just don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, so I'm sorry. But it's a really big jump. So if students are going to get placed into these courses, then we might as well provide that support off top. But then within our own district, the data is striking. So if you have a student who starts in pre-algebra, Math 253, that's 3 levels below, thank you. What do you think is the percentage or probability or likelihood that they'll finish their statistics within 2 years? Wait, how you know that? How you know that? Okay, great. So it's a team effort here. So, I mean, a lot of research suggests that the placement systems are faulty and greatly underplaced students, but then all these extra layers of math courses create what's known as exit points. And they are exponential, meaning like it gets compounded exponentially. So I got to do it. For all my math peoples in here, that's a multiplication. And that's why the decimals get smaller and smaller every time you multiply by another decimal. I hope everyone up here is proud of me of that. So that is, it's striking, and it's really unfair to our students that we are being gatekeepers and holding them out of their transfer level classes and academic goals. You want to say something? Okay, here, Dan.
Hello. So So what does that mean this year? So I was just asked this summer at one of the basic skills meetings, what does that mean? What can we do for students right now? So where we have these concurrent academic support systems in place, these 1 or 2 unit support classes that are in existence at College of Alameda, but aren't at most of the other campuses. At Merritt, we have one for statistics, but we haven't yet, gone through the curriculum process for pre-calculus and for trigonometry. Where can counselors place students right now while we're still putting these structures in place? Well, one of the requirements or one of the guidelines for implementation of AB 705 is that all students get placed into transfer level math. So all students, any student who's on the statistics track would get placed into statistics. That would be their first placement. And then based on their high school GPA, concurrent academic support would be either recommended or strongly recommended. But for students who are in the highest, what they call it the highest node of the GPA, the recommendation is that they get placed into the transfer level course immediately without any academic support recommended. And so what that means is that right now, this semester, in order to be in compliance with the law, what we should be doing at Peralta is every student whose plan is to take statistics eventually, whose high school GPA is a B or better, a 3.0 or better, they should be placed into statistics. All incoming students, their initial placement should be statistics if their high school GPA is over a 3.0. And for the STEM pathway, if their GPA is above 3.4, they should be immediately placed into pre-calculus at that level. And we're still working on creating the concurrent academic support programs for the students whose GPAs are below that for most of the colleges. And so, so it's going to be a transition process for those students. But for those students whose GPAs are in this highest node, they should be placed into the highest level, into the transfer level math this semester to maximize their probability of actually succeeding. Because as Vanson pointed out on the previous slide, even putting them one level below, and by the way, that's not where students normally get placed. Like I teach math. Every semester I have students in my pre-algebra class who took pre-calculus in high school. And those students, those are going to be the people who are like, they might be the 6% who actually succeed in 2 years, maybe, right? But if you actually want them to succeed, if you want them to succeed at all, and if you want them to succeed this year, you place those students into the transfer level course immediately. They're ready for it. All right, and that's all I have. Yes. Oh yeah, for some.
So we're going to go right down the list and say what are our personal takeaways from participating in the community of practice. But just to, since you gave me the opportunity to talk about Be Silly, we use some of our basic skills transformation grant funds, and I just want to give a shout out to Dean Lisa Cook, who's been the lead administrator for our math program and for the basic skills transformation grant. Last summer, we went to Be Silly, which is a 3CSN professional learning network event or conference that is up in the hills of LA, and we took one math faculty member from each of the colleges and Dean Lisa Cook up into the mountains for a whole week. We thought it was a 3-hour tour, and we got stranded and did work from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. every night. I missed a warrior parade, but my math faculty supported me in winning that last game, and we even formed a professional party network. But we all came away with a redesign of our math sequence and a renewed commitment to support each other, and that's how we started really meeting every week and developing our courses. So I'm going to pass the microphone around and allow each one of my colleagues to say their personal takeaways from the communities of practice, and we're not finished. We're going to continue to meet.
I feel like I've already said a lot about this, but I think that you know, a lot of community college classrooms are kind of invisible to our colleagues, right? And by us having a community of practice where we discuss what happened each week in our classrooms and what needed to change for the following semester, and had that safety network of colleagues around us who we could say, hey, you know, this happened in my classroom and I don't know how to fix it, you know, and, you know, we'd come up with ideas together. It felt wonderful to work with my colleagues in that way. And the students really had a great experience in the classroom as well. With the wraparound boards, you could tell if a student was stepped away from the board and wasn't participating. And, you know, a tutor or instructor would go up to them and see what's going on. And you'd see students going to other groups and seeing what they're doing and coming back to their group and explaining it. And it's just, yeah, great experiences. And I love working with my colleagues.
So I feel like I'm just going to echo Christine's statements a lot, because I feel like the biggest thing that I got out of it was working with my colleagues also and feeling connected, and that we were on the same page, and that we're like envisioning a future together, which I just feel like we did these things separately before, and it just feels like when you have this common goal or this common dream, then, you know, it's easier to try to make that become a reality. And, you know, my teaching for the class that I did, it was, you know, again, just like Christine said, very different, interacting with counselors and counseling, and, you know, having tutors in the classroom really made me feel very supported. My students felt honored, like they just felt like they were being worshiped, that like everybody was keeping track of what they were doing, and that, I don't know, I've never had so many very personal, very deep student comments, you know, verbally expressed to me than last semester. Like every single student in my class felt very, very supportive, and they were just like, wow, I can't believe you guys are taking this much interest in me. And that was, I don't know, it was amazing. So I'm looking forward to continuing this work.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway is that one of the things that I realized when the AB 705, I mentioned earlier, when the AB 705 guidelines came out earlier this summer, I was surprised by my reaction, because what it meant was that all of my work over the past couple of years was going to be, you know, thrown in the garbage, basically, you know, and I was going to have to basically restart and do all of this new stuff. And I was looking forward to it, you know. I was looking for. I thought, you know, like because I knew that I have a group of people that with whom we could get this done, you know. And I knew that we had, you know, we are at College of Alameda. We already had, you know, a plan in place that we could just follow and copy, and I felt comfortable and safe in this environment. And it's also like it's really rewarding to be able to be with a group of people where you feel safe, where you say, like, here's what I want to do. You know, so like this semester, what I did is I was teaching one of those new algebra classes that was up there. I was the instructor for it this semester, and I said, I think I want to cancel that class and just teach statistics with support, because we have a support class for that already. It's already in the books. And I said, what does everyone think about that? If I just cancel that class, and I'll tell all the students in that class that they could just take statistics with me, the same professor, the same instructor, or the same time, the same place, and it was an overwhelming feeling of support and assent, and you know, and so it was just like it was just a nice feeling. It's nice to find your group of people that you work well with, and I'm really happy that I've done that here.
Okay, so two things. I hear about colleges in the state where the math faculty are just hella resistant to any change. And I'm very honored to be in a district where the math faculty are very open to it. So that's definitely the first thing. And then, hey, all right. The second thing is, I know what some of y'all thinking. There are jerks in other departments, like in your department or something like that, oh, well, math is all hunky-dory. And, that's that is some of the reality. And maybe because we're somewhat new, I don't know, maybe we're not like 40 years deep into the district or something, and that is definitely part of the context. Old Peralta Way runs real deep, right? I know I had to say that. So I think I want to give some hope to faculty looking to build communities of practice, that it can exist, that the most rigid, rule-following faculty such as math, that we definitely can come together, and although there might be historic differences between faculty, whether within the college or within the districts, that you can build. It definitely strengthens numbers. It takes food, it takes some drink, you know what I'm saying? So, and then it might take some facilitation. So we can lean on our administrators who get paid the big bucks to help facilitate that. And although they might be a little afraid to stick their neck out, and that's okay, you might find someone else that will be able to help facilitate that. But I really want to instill some hope in faculty that you can have this and it will come out beautifully.
Yes, please.
So I'm the tutor coordinator. I was pretty involved with this. Something that wasn't on there, I don't know if everybody knows, but our college employs peer tutors, meaning it's community college students helping other community college students. Normally in math, the tutors have to take calculus in order to be qualified to be in the drop-in center and tutor any math student on the college. And because the tutors in this program are embedded in the class, they don't need to have gotten all the way to calculus, which means that students that were successful in the first semester of these basic skills classes were able to be elevated to then being tutors and helping out other students in the basic skills classes in the subsequent semester. Same thing's happening in English. And that really, is very empowering for the students that are tutors too. So it's really special the way that they're doing that.
Thank you. Well, I don't know exactly how much time we have left, but I do want to, before the time ends, thank you all for allowing us to showcase what we have done over the last few years. My last personal takeaway is that at the district level on some of the shared governance committees, it feels like the colleges are in competition with each other because we all have to share the same funding and we're all fighting for position in that way. But I feel in this community of practice that it's not like that. We're in it for the students, and I think that that's what we're all here for.
So we have time for one, is this a question or?
One or two questions.
One or two questions, yep.
Okay, let me just ask you this, okay. How do you deal with someone who can't add, subtract, multiply, and divide if I put them in statistics, number one? How do you deal with someone, number two, who has a math phobia and I put them in statistics? How do you deal with that?
So definitely at the College of Alameda, the onus is not on the counselor. Okay, so if a counselor puts a student into a math class, that's our job now. Okay, so rest assured, the student won't be upset with you. Okay, so let me start with that. Let me start with that, and that's fair. So a big part of that is we need to train our faculty to really support our students who got these phobias like, oh my God, math. And I'm not pointing any fingers, but sometimes we embody that fear, and then the students see it in our eyes, and then that reinforces that fear. So it is up to us to train our math faculty. Guess how we're gonna do it? Communities of practice. Okay? So that's one. Two, everything's coming in twos from me. There's specific trainings around helping students with their low confidence and math phobia, and that is what's known in some circles as the affective domain or the non-cognitive, okay? So it's one of those things that if I'm talking to a student, all they see is F in my eyes. They see two Fs. Then no matter what I say, it's not gonna get through. So if I can help, or our faculty can help these students really address some of those first, then it might take them 2 semesters, and that's okay. But as long as they feel supported by us, they're not gonna blame anyone. They're not gonna blame us. They're not gonna blame themselves. They're gonna say, I got some work to do. And so, at least for the counselors at College of Alameda, if you got a student mad at you, you send them my way, and we'll take care of it. Okay.
All right, one last comment before we move.
Okay, so I am a counselor at the College of Alameda, and I want to tell you how much this has revolutionized how we work with students. Prior to this, I had to share with a student who may have taken pre-calc in high school that they had to start in a pre-algebra class, and I was put in the role of being a gatekeeper, and I had to take that heat from that student who I knew could be successful, but the rules were telling me, no, you have to hold this line. The onus was on me to hold the student back, and I got the full heat of that. And so I want to say how much this has changed the student experience of that first initial contact of I want to be a college student. And instead of saying, great, you want to be a college student, you're not ready for college, we got to put you down low, I get to say, yes, we are going to put you in statistics. And you know what? No one ever lived up to low expectations. So we're going to put you in that statistics class, and you're going to work hard, and you're going to get a lot of support, and you're going to pass, because we're going to make sure that you have the support you need. That's what I get to say to students now. And so I want to thank you so much for being in lockstep together across the district, because it's really hard being over in College of Alameda doing our things our way and have other counselors have to do things a different way. So this community of practice is going to change our numbers, and I always, every time we say the word numbers, we have to hear the word students. So this is going to change the experience of our students. It has already changed my job, and I sincerely thank you for your innovation.
I'm sorry, we got to wrap it up. So
I got one last question. And our very last is, when you go out to your discipline meetings today, ask yourselves or consider what would it take to build a community of practice in your discipline.
thank you very much. Let's give them a hand. Okay. Leave them up here. All right, so right now, it's raffle time. Get out your tickets. We have a few raffle items today. We're gonna start off, and as we do this, the other presenters can kind of gather themselves and get ready. So if you don't know Laura Leon Maurice, she is our academic affairs executive assistant, and she's gonna pull some numbers. For the first prize, which is a Trans Ally workbook, and if Tom could help out, so pull out your numbers. We'll see, well, people are leaving, we're gonna see what happens here. 978-463. 978-463. Miriam, here we go. The next one is, this is a Vice Chancellor Award. It is lunch for two, with one of 4 vice chancellors who have volunteered. We have Vice Chancellor Sifra, Mikaro, Whitaker, and Cole. So you can choose, and you get lunch for 2 with them. And the number is 978-468. 978-468, right here. All right. The next is 2 tickets to the Cal Academy. That's good. 2 tickets to Cal Academy, good for 1 year. This is 978-461, 978-461, 978-461. Okay, pull again, pull another number. This one's out. 978-390. Hello, this is Cal Academy. And then the last one for this round are 2 tickets to MOAD, the Museum of the African Diaspora. This comes from Nikki Lasley of the Peralta Community Foundation. Thank you, Nikki. 978-383. 978-383. 978-383. Oh, right here. Here we go. All right. Before we bring on the other presenters, I have a short video. It comes from an alum from the Berkeley City College Multimedia Department, and it's a great video on Oakland. If the active shooter video made you feeling a little, flinching and like worried about what's going to happen, hopefully this brings a little love into your heart. It's a wonderful video to check out, and if we could dim the lights just a little bit so we can check this out. So 3 minutes, and then we'll have our next group come up.
If we were to map out Oakland's veins and sketch this city's pulse, we would follow oak tree arteries along streams flowing down the hills into the woods of Diamond Park, till we reached the fingers of Fruitvale and were led up International's spine through the intersection of Chinatown's crimson crosswalks, where we would count each wall adorned in golden dragons, painted symbols of power, strength, and good luck. On the horizon, we would watch the bones of cranes loom like giants guarding the Oakland port, where life is living, artists with spray paint cans molding wood panels into the most magnificent masterpieces. We might end up inside the Allen Bluford Center or Soul Space on the first Friday of any given month with poets and MCs, young alchemists of language echoing the pulse of art, murmuring on telegraph, music overflowing the streets with bodies dancing. Have you ever seen the lake on a Sunday morning? Oakland is a symphony of over 100 tongues. It is an orchestra of punk guitar and rolling bass. Oakland is the sweetest gift. It is Redwood Forest Miracle and art galleries opened for community meetings. It is sunshine over rose gardens and resisting alienation through Ubuntu Theater Project and Culture Strike workshops or Destiny Arts showcases and Dragon School murals. It is queer magic makers and film screenings at Eastside Arts Alliance. Oakland is a festival quilted by those who care for it. Gentle hands that stitch together the personal and the political, that honor the ancestors who came before and those in the making. It is inscribing the names of those whose history is most often left out. It is speaking their stories so we don't forget whose land we stand upon, and which communities were pushed out of it, and who is still here, living, creating, and birthing new forms of being. Oakland is where deep waters dance, where Betty Ono gathers. We create on the axis of a beloved community, from the hills to the flatlands, the rose-pink cascade of the town at sunset. The sunlight paints the edges of downtown gold, turns windows of cafes and galleries into a mosaic. What is Oakland but the most intricate painting? Art in spirit and belly and body, because that's how it's done in this city. And remember all the ways Oakland welcomes me home.
A quick thank you to Mary Clark Miller and Rachel Simpson, who got this video for me and passed it along, so quick hand for them. I'd like to introduce our next group up. Siri Brown's going to introduce them. So once you come on up, Vice Chancellor Siri Brown. And we need the next slide set up.
Good morning. Okay, thank you. Oh, I'm in here all by myself. Good morning. I hope everyone is really excited about this fall, this academic year, and that faculty had a great summer. And there's a lot of great work to do. And I remember when I was new over a decade ago, and as a faculty, in my suite of offices, there were faculty from communications and anthropology and ethnic studies and history, and they were so dedicated. We would have conversations all the time about teaching and learning and students and sharing ideas and have these intellectual conversations. And I was struck really early on in being in Peralta with how much dedication there is to our students, how much dedication there is to high quality teaching and learning. And I think that that potential that we have, that reality and gift that we have, is something we can build upon and grow. Watching the math faculty and listening to them up here, and I've been to some of the district-wide meetings that they have, is really a standard of best practice. Can we give them another round of applause? That is just like exactly, perfectly what we want to do, you know, across disciplines and across personalities, to focus on teaching and learning in students. Our students are coming to us, they're registering, they're getting ready. They're coming to us hoping for, you know, high quality education. They're hoping to get caring, welcoming introductions to our campus or reintroductions to our campus. They're hoping that we come with innovation and smiles and positivity and the belief that they can achieve what it is that they want to achieve, that the reason why they're here. They're coming to us with what the great Aretha Franklin, R.I.P., said. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, they want our respect. I'm about to give you all my money. Can I get a little respect? Is what she said, and that's what our students are saying too. So today we have another example of great faculty doing great things, and I want to tell you that you notice probably a difference in the district flex. There's no guest speaker, that the speakers are our own specialists, our own guest speakers. And so I want to just take one moment to thank Scott Hoshida for organizing this and thinking about putting Flex Day together differently and focusing on faculty and focusing on students and teachers, which we have so many experts. So Noncredit is the next example of what's happening here in our district with our amazing faculty who have taken this initiative to build a pilot project in the Fruitvale Center with child development in ESL. So I just have a couple of slides to talk about Noncredit. And Noncredit is an educational gateway. It's a portal to the future. It empowers learning, literacy, and access to higher education. And it's free. It's at no cost to students. No fees, no tuition. Noncredit is defined in the Ed Code as well, and today the focus is on CDCP noncredit categories, which stands for Career Development and College Preparation. You'll hear that a lot, the CDCP. People also call it the Enhanced Noncredit. And the reason why it's called enhanced is that noncredit has existed for a long time, but the state recently said, we will give you full apportionment, you know, the same rate of dollars as for credit classes if you do CDCP noncredit. And so it's defined in the Ed Code and supported by law around improving employability and job placement, college class work, career readiness, completion of degrees, and transfer. And so what this means, in essence, is that the CDCP noncredit is for workforce preparation, short-term vocational, ESOL, basic skills, English, and math. Currently, in the district, we have more and more curriculum coming down the pipeline for noncredit. And if you remember, we really launched sort of the, you know, what is noncredit to the district when it was housed in WDCE, Workforce Development and Continuing Education. And that work in the early year and a half was really around creating the infrastructure. Karen Crowley deserves a lot of credit for that. She really engaged in that process. And Dr. Mel King helped to put together retreats and informational sessions to tell people, hey, noncredit, noncredit. There are other districts who have whole non-credit colleges, who have hundreds of courses. But for us, this is relatively new, and it offers this amazing opportunity to reach students who did not think that they could be students. It offers an opportunity to go deep into our communities and offer an access, a pathway, a road into our colleges for credit. And the example today will really show you what that means and how it has impacted so many lives so quickly. So in the spring of 2018, non-credit was moved to academic affairs, and we formed a working group comprised of faculty, staff, and administration. And I love this working group. We've been having these dynamic meetings, just throwing everything on the wall, looking at non-credit. And so out of that, we are going to present to Share Governance a non-credit working plan. We have updated the website, which is on the flyer, with all kinds of information about non-credit, so that people can be really clear on what non-credit is and what we offer. It's also translated into Spanish, and that was recently done by Juan Carlos at the district for us. And there's district-wide coordination. Each campus will have a non-credit lead person that will know everything about it, so that if you have questions, you can ask. And importantly, we also are going on an information campaign, because we think there's still a lot of misinformation about what non-credit is and how do I make a class and how do I do this. And so hopefully you received a flyer today about it that gives the basics, the foundation of what non-credit is, so that you can begin to think about, how would I do this? How will I engage in non-credit? What kind of certificate could I develop in partnership or within my department? And this year, we really want to give incentive to faculty to develop certificates of non-credit, the CDCP certificates. So within this academic year, any faculty in working with their chair and their dean and their VPI and develop a non-credit certificate through CIC, once it's passed to CIPD, they can receive a $500 stipend for that work. No round of applause on that one? $500? That's a little bit something. I'm hoping that we get at least 10, but it would be wonderful if we got 20 faculty to engage in this. But remember that it has to be CIPD approved, and to work with your chair and your administration to make sure that it is a CDCP certificate and you know exactly how to do it, how to build that class. So without any delay, I want to introduce you to two faculty who engaged very early on in non-credit and created a child development ESL non-credit certificate. And I remember being at Merit and the conversations and the talk and all the work that they were doing around this, the curricular work as well as what they were doing in the community to let people know, hey, this is coming and it's free and you can take these courses and get this certificate. And lo and behold, last fall, the pilot project went underway, and they will describe to you the level of success. I can just tell you that there were wait lists and wait lists and wait lists. This was highly successful and a beautiful project that they now are growing and continuing. So I hope that it serves to inspire you to think about non-credit, and that you engage in building non-credit certificates to reach the students who think they cannot be students, but who we know can be students and can achieve competency and completion and come on to our campuses from non-credit to credit. Please welcome and give a round of applause to two amazing dedicated faculty, Elizabeth and Jennifer.
Thank you, Siri. I'm Beth Marr, ESOL at Laney and Merit, and I go by she, her.
And I'm Jennifer Briffa, full-time faculty in child development at Merit, and I also go by she and her. That's it. Yeah. But thank you for that introduction, Siri. So let's see if we can get the slide.
What is it?
Should be the next. It's the up button.
Oh, nope, other way. Nope, that's that. There.
There you go.
Okay.
So I've, spent many years working with little children. I'm in early childhood education, and when you've been sitting this long, you would have already a little minor riot if you all were preschoolers. So I'd like to start with just getting you to move a little bit. With our child development and our program that we'll tell you about in a minute, we did use a lot of hands-on activities, songs, games, movements to get the students both learning about child development content and learning English. So we're going to do a song, and if you want to move your bodies a little, that's fine too. And this would be a song we do a lot in preschool when you get there in the morning. And we're going to practice a little Spanish-English, okay? So it's the Buenos Dias song. I think some of you might know it. So it's a call and response. We're going to do it once in English and then once in Spanish, okay? So Beth, you're going to help me, right? Okay. So, good morning. How are you? Very well, thank you. And you? Buenos días. ¿Cómo estás? Muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú? Great. Give yourself a round of applause. Wonderful. Okay, so you go to the next slide. I want you to look at this photo. Is that too loud? I tend to be loud. And I want to ask you, what do you think these students are doing? Anyone shout out something? What do you think they're doing? They look like they're playing? All right. What else? Matching game, group work. Anything else? Waiting for drinks, yeah. Yeah, they do look like those little drink thingies, yes. And one last one. Having fun, awesome, yeah. And also, so what is one challenge you think they might face? What is just, it's kind of out there, but what do you think one challenge these students might be facing? What's that? Language skills or language challenge, what else? Not using a textbook? Okay. Textbooks can be difficult, and that was one of our challenges, was finding an appropriate textbook to use, and I think Beth will talk a little bit about that. Okay, so in the interest of making sure we have enough time, these students are learning about child development. They are playing some games here. They're using manipulatives that you would use with children if you work with children, but they're really good teaching tools. They're learning English because we use these kinds of activities and tools in both the child development class and in the ESOL class. They're learning about college life because that was part of our goal with this program that we'll introduce, is to learn what does it mean to be in college. And they're also learning about each other in different cultures. So even though the majority of our students that came to our first pilot enrollment were Latinas or Latinx, we did have other nationalities, ethnicities, and cultures represented also, so they were learning about that. Okay, I'm going to give you a little history of how we got to our non-credit pilot program in child development / ESOL. I have been teaching classes at Merritt at Fruitvale, that's what it's called now, 1900 Fruitvale Avenue, for a long, long time. I don't even remember, maybe more than 10 years. And part of the work there was to support Merritt being in the community and working in the community, especially, of course, the Latino community. And one of the needs that we identified very early was the need for non-credit ESL. At that time, that's what we called it, because many of the people in the community did not have access to low-cost or no-cost ESL, and many of them were also undocumented. And so for them to come to Laney or Merritt or any of the Peralta colleges for their ESL was very expensive, and for some it wasn't even an option. So when we started, we did a lot of advocacy work there at Fruitvale, but one of the things we wanted to do was to figure out how can we work on non-credit ESL, especially at Fruitvale. And when the enhanced model came out, we realized this was an opportunity. And then knowing that you had to create a program that led to certificates, we decided to look around for a discipline that we could tie with the ESOL. And since I was at all the tables, and since child development was already teaching classes at the Fruitvale, it made sense to pick child development as the CE program to pair with. And so there was a lot of work done at that point. I won't even try to mention names of everyone involved, but eventually we did form this small working group that was the two of us, Beth and I, and Lisa Cook, which I don't know if she's still here, but we definitely want to acknowledge her. With some funding, we were able to design the program over at least 2 years. And eventually, we launched the program in fall of 2017. So the urgent need for the non-credit ESL, but also in terms of my content area, child development, or what's called more familiar is early childhood education. There was a need to help students who were not ready for credit classes, but who were already working in the field as what we call friends, family, and neighbors providers. So these are people providing care very informally for children. It could be your family members, your neighbors, or nannies, babysitters. And they needed training too, and they needed to see the possibilities of going to college and getting the classes and certificates they needed to be successful in the workforce. And so we decided to develop this program specifically targeting that group. It made all the sense because the need was great for that entry point. Okay, so we go to the next slide. What happened to the pathways slide? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay, so this is one of the tools that we used for educating our, people about our program, and also as a visual. This is our child development pathways map for our department. And where you see the blue arrow, that's where we are, the non-credit program. That's the entry point. So this map shows all the different entry points and exit points for our department and our programs. And we added our non-credit pilot up at the top. And one of the things about this is that it also helps students see that where the pathways might be for them, even though they're coming in at this level that we were calling before college. So while this pathway map is very, it's clear what we see there, it can be really confusing to our students. And so we've also felt in our department and in our pilot program that it was crucial to support our students. And so we make use of counselors that are versed in child development and who know the programs. We use professional advisors in the department who know also the permit system, because a lot of these, the blue ones are the permits that you have to get to work with children, and so it's very confusing to students. So we have professional advisors that can help them navigate that. And we also use embedded tutors who are familiar with both ESOL and child development content. And also, of course, faculty like ourselves and also coordinators. Faculty who are willing to step in and be coordinators for these programs. So even though this looks daunting to a student, it was very well supported in collaboration with many different people to help support our students through these pathways. Okay, this slide shows the model that we came up with. So just briefly, the model intends to accomplish at least 3 things, and maybe Beth, if there's something else too. So of course, one of our goals was to increase the language skills in contextualized ESOL classes. And that's really key. I would have liked to hear more about that with the math group, because we know that contextualized instruction, no matter what, is more powerful. And we've tried that in child development with math and English, and this was contextualized ESOL. So one of the goals was to further their language skills, their English language skills, in contextualized courses. The other was to introduce students to child development concepts and content and skills. And we chose 2 areas to do that in that fit with this, the targeted group of nannies, babysitters, family care providers. So we taught infant toddler care content in the first couple classes, and then we taught preschool content in the second 2, because these are the skills students are looking for. And so that was a second goal. And I think for me, a third goal also was to introduce students to what does it mean to be a Peralta Community College student. What does it mean to meet the expectations, coming on time, trying to come consistently. We provided some things to help them feel successful, like materials, books, pencils, things like that, binders, textbooks, also notebooks, things like that. But in addition, we also brought in people to make presentations to them. We had a counselor come in and talk what's counseling about, what does it mean to get an SEP. We had our professional advisors come in and talk about the permit system and child development, where they fit in there. And so we felt, both Beth and I as the faculty, that was part of our job, was to help them kind of figure out this college thing. So that was, I think, another goal. And in addition, our non-credit program offers students who complete all the courses at a satisfactory level 2 certificates. And these certificates, while they are not, they're not, how do I say it? Industry recognized through the permit system of the state of California, they do provide something really wonderful. Students feel really great getting them. Our students were so happy to get them, and we had a little mini celebratory event at the end of each two-course sequence. And they can also use them when they go for job interviews, or let's say there's a family who wants to hire them as a nanny, they could show them their certificate and said, I did this coursework, which is very powerful for our students. So the certificates are definitely important. Okay. So some of our outcomes from our, these are some of our numbers. These numbers reflect a fairly good success rate in relation to certificate completion, but they do not necessarily reflect what those students who did not complete the whole certificate program got out of the classes. Because there were students who came, they were amazing. They came every week on time, they worked hard, they were excited. But then some students had different challenges, and they may have skipped some classes. And because it is non-credit, they're not held to the same attendance standards. So these reflect certificate completion numbers for the fall and then for the spring. So we've completed a full year. But they don't necessarily reflect what those students who did not complete the whole certificate got out of the class. So I think we felt, and I know I really thought this, even if they came to a few of the classes, they were walking away every time with something. If it was not a little more English or some child development concept or some fun activity they had learned to use with their kids that they work with, there was some takeaway, even if they only came to some of them. But our enrollment was really high, as Siri mentioned. We had waiting lists, and so I thought that was successful. Okay, and I do want to say that even though they were not, they didn't all get certificates, they can repeat these courses and then get a certificate. So if, let's say, they did one of them but didn't quite finish the other one satisfactorily, they can just take the other one and then get the certificate. So there is a feature of non-credit that is helpful to some students. Okay, so I'm going to pass it over to Beth now. Thank you.
Hi, so I'm going to repeat some of what Jenny said, but just to highlight, can you hear me? Why we felt, it was, just to say from the outset, it was just I was so happy to go to work every night. The students came so ready to learn, and the class was robust and full. We had about 30 to 35 students on a daily basis, which matters in non-credit. It's a daily positive attendance, so it was just a super wonderful work environment, and just a great class to be part of, and I felt really lucky. But I wanted to highlight some of the key things that made it so successful, and I think, number one, that it was non-credit. If we had made this credit, it just would have, it wouldn't have served the population in the way that this did, and being non-credit, first off, there's a non-credit application, which is different than the CCC Apply, and and it's 2 pages, and it doesn't ask for your social security number. So that alone just lowered the stress for a lot of students, and it just made it more accessible. Also, that it was free. A lot of our students have documentation issues, so they get categorized as out of state, so they would have to pay much higher fees for credit, and so it being free just made it a wide open door, and they came. That it's repeatable. Non-credit is, you can repeat it, I don't know what's in the syllabus, in the course outline, but it's like 20 times you could take it if you need to, because we know life gets in the way and you may have to stop and come back, and so you can take it as many times as you need. It's focused on skills attainment. It's not focused on grades or units. And so it just makes a low stakes entry into our college system, which worked. We saw it really worked for students. They came with a lot of anxiety about, in my class particularly, about English, and they stayed, and many of them went on. Let's see. Oh, also, it's short term. Non-credit has different regulations about what's the minimum amount you can teach, and so we decided to make it 8 weeks instead of 17 and a half weeks, because 17 and a half weeks is a long time to commit to something you're not sure about. But 8 weeks is much more like, I can do that. And so, and also with the positive daily attendance, it allowed us at 8 weeks to sort of open it up. If people were no-show, we could open it up and get new students to come in. So there were 4 points of entry in the year as opposed to 2, which was worked really well for our population. There's Jenny teaching. A couple other things that were really key. We had great administrative support from the beginning, starting 3 years ago when we started writing the curriculum and working together. There were curriculum chairs at Merit who we were like, okay, let's see what non-credit is about. And we all jumped in, and we were hours on the phone working out the course outlines and how to get it through the committees to the state, and that was super helpful. The key also was at the Fruitvale Center, which is in the community, which is another key part of this program. There's a site coordinator there, Brenda, who speaks Spanish, is deeply embedded in the community, goes to the churches, goes to the schools, did all the outreach. I think she single-handedly walked every single student through that application, one by one. I don't know how we would have done the program without her. And all of this was supported by Dean Vasconcelos up at Merit. She was really a big promoter and supporter of the program from the beginning, and funded a lot of the coordination work that we had to do. And in fact, she funded Jenny to be the project coordinator, which was also really key. There's a lot of moving parts in a program like this. Like, it's not just one non-credit class, it's a whole program. And we had to coordinate with the district, and they were rolling out all the new processes and procedures for the first time too, so there was a lot of support that it needed. The contextualized English was, I just want to make another note about that. From the students' point of view, I think there were students who came for the ECE content, and then they were really happy to get the English content. And then there were students who came for the English content and were like, oh, this is a pathway. So having the two together really worked for a lot of students. From my point of view, I've tried to do contextualized English before, and we see the numbers, if you read the research, it's really effective, but teachers are rarely given the time to implement it correctly. And so with this program and with the support we got from Merit, I was able to, we met for 2 years before the classes started. We planned our course outlines together. We planned our lesson plans together when we got to that point. I sat in Jenny's class for the entire first semester, just absorbing. I'm not an early childhood educator. I'm an ESL teacher. I have children, but it's not the same thing. So I sat in Jenny's class, and I got to absorb all the language and the concepts, and I maybe picked up a little Spanish, because the class is bilingual. I don't know if we mentioned that, but Jenny does her class completely bilingually in English and in Spanish. And I will say that in terms of they were talking about math phobia, there's a lot of English phobia too. And so the bilingual piece was really important because there were students in the class who really struggled to say one word in English. And that we were contextualized and that we were so obviously a team really helped bring down that anxiety for those students. And just last, what everybody's been saying today, it was a team. We were so completely a team. It was Jenny and I working on curriculum, Jenny and I and Brenda and Karen Crawley working on processes and procedures and outreach. And I think the students really felt that. There was this feeling, just like the math folks were saying, that the students were like, we're getting all this attention. We're getting, all these people care about us getting through and getting the content. And that was really, really, I think, a big part of why it was so successful. Just to show, there they are. Some of the students who got their certificates walked in the ceremony in May, and that was super exciting. Even students who didn't get the certificate came and watched and supported them. It was very much of a big family by the end. And I will say that about 5 to 10 of the students who finished each semester, which is where they get the certificate after 2 course sequences, about 5 to 7 of them did go on to the credit bilingual program at Fruitvale, which was just what we wanted. That's a bridge program. They also, lots of them came over to Laney for the summer non-credit that we were offering here and the credit. So it really did serve as a bridge for students to get into our system and get into the credit programs that can carry them forward. Okay, I want to talk about some of the challenges.
Okay, so of course with any pilot program, and especially when we were like, I know BCC did something too the same semester, so I don't want to say we were the only one, but with this launch as a pilot, there are going to be challenges, and there continue to be challenges, some of which are listed here. So infrastructure, the district is definitely working on it, as Siri laid out. I'm so happy with the way it's more structured and there's a plan. I do have to, give lots of kudos, and Beth too says to Karen Crawley, because she really was very responsive when we were sending her enrollment forms, even scanning them and sending them in to get students in at the last minute, if there were errors in names or anything like that, and then when the certificates too. But that was interesting for us to work with, the enrollment, the fact that some students could turn in enrollment forms at the colleges, but we didn't feel sure what was happening with those enrollment forms at first, because things tend to sit on people's desks sometimes in A&R because they're overwhelmed. And so I think that needs to be very streamlined and clear for any future non-credit programs, just the enrollment process. The certificates, I know that one of the things that I'd like to work on this time around, because we're starting again with the next cohort, is to see if there's a way we can work with counseling and A&R to have the certificates also be, given out at graduation like other certificates are. That wasn't formalized. And also I know that there's a work in place for a non-credit transcript, because right now I don't believe that's in place yet. I don't know if that's correct, Siri, but I believe that's true. Because students do want to get a transcript of their non-credit work also. So that's a challenge, just kind of those enrollment issues and more infrastructure issues. This idea of positive daily attendance can be a challenge. I know in us figuring out our hours, this is the first time I ever taught a positive daily attendance course. Usually you just, do your grades, and that was a little challenging. So I think I'll read something that Beth wrote here. Positive daily attendance means you need to have 25 students in class every day. So how many do you allow into your class to maintain that average? Those were some questions, we had. And so I think giving support to faculty about positive daily attendance. Outreach wasn't a big issue for us, but because we had the support. Like she mentioned Brenda Mora at the Fruitvale, but we also have a really good outreach system in place for child development. We have 500 providers we send things to. So we just do, flashes of mails and phone calls and texts. So it wasn't hard to fill our classes, but I think outreach can be a challenge for some other programs. And then now this is where we're at right now. So sustaining financial support, funding. Because right now, we were able to have funds to order materials for this semester, like books and things, but that's it. And right now, there is not sustained funding for my work as the program coordinator. I will do it, of course, but there's no funding for that right as this moment, or for our collaboration. So I need to work with the two deans to find some funding, because the collaboration piece is critical, and also for our embedded tutors. Our embedded tutors were also a critical part of the program. I guess what I'm saying is we need sustainability of these kinds of programs, especially the support pieces. And so that would be a challenge too. Anything you want to add?
Well, just
Oh yeah, that's right, that's right.
Yeah. So it was really clear from the students that they were really eager and they wanted more. As soon as they heard that we were going to be offering non-credit general ESL here at Laney this summer, we just got flooded with applications from the students we had in the spring. So for that class, that's a non-credit general ESL bridge to credit, and that's being offered at Laney. It was this summer and fall. COA is starting it this fall. Merit's planning to start it in the spring. So the summer ones here, we offered one here on campus. They had to open up a second one, and there were still waiting lists for that. So the need in the community for these non-credit classes is huge. We also have a vocational ESL, so sort of more work-oriented general ESL non-credit that's on the books. It's approved by the state. We're ready to teach. We're hoping to teach it here in the spring at Laney, and it's clonable for any of the other programs. We want to keep supporting the students in this non-credit program to get enrolled into the credit program in ECE at Merit, and we really need the student services support down at the Fruitvale Center. The centers that are happening, the Fruitvale Center in the community is key. And we need the support of student services at the center in the community where the students are. The other thing is the bilingual credit program, there's a big drop off in students going to the English non-bilingual classes higher up in the sequence where they can get higher level certificates and better wages. And there's a big drop off there. So we're talking about using non-credit to support students to bridge from that bilingual program into the English-only program. And so that's something we're looking forward to. That's it. Any questions? No?
Hello, hello.
I know.
Hi, everyone. So that was a great presentation and very informative to learn about what non-credit and credit looks like. But there was a reference that you just made about how positive and the enrollment was really good and for this pilot program, and that you're looking for additional funding to be able to sustain this, and that's not what's in place right now. But what I find interesting is that we were told that we had an increase of FTESs as a result of summer. And I believe that your numbers are probably a part of that increase, which generated additional funding to the tune of $1.9 million. At least that's what we were told. So I'd be interested in finding out more in the very near future how, as a result of your positive FTESs, increased our budget and what that means to support this type of program moving forward. So it was more of a statement than a question, but there's a question embedded in there that I'm hoping to hear how that's going to work out.
I'm hoping to hear how it's going to work out too.
Oh, there's a question over here.
Hi. Great opportunity to bring students. And my question is, what resources have you found in Peralta for constructing a bridge to credit for a credit program that exists that needs a non-credit analog?
What resources?
How would one go about constructing a non-credit program with a bridge to a credit program? What resources are there in Peralta to help solve that?
Well, that's part of what Siri has been working with on this working group for the spring, is to try to get, there are people around who have done this and are currently building those kinds of programs, and we're trying to sort of standardize that and make it available to everybody in a public space.
And then additionally, you'll be hearing a lot more about non-credit this semester with workshops on campus, with the point persons at your campuses, and anyone's welcome. We welcome you to join the working group, even if you are coming just to learn yourself, because as you can tell from this presentation and the work that these faculty did, it's out there. There's so many students out there who want to come to us, and this is a new vehicle that we really want to explore. Not just because we need FTS, of course that's everything, but it's really because we're about really reaching the nooks and crannies of our community and making sure they know that they're welcome and that it's much easier to come than they might have thought. Then what was shared becomes a reality, that they get engaged, they get this support, they get this learning, and in that there's the opportunity to talk about, okay, now come to credit. So that Beth didn't really have to do anything to bridge them into credit. They already were now redefining themselves as college students, finding out all the resources around financial aid and everything else, so that it becomes even an easy process to bridge. So we welcome working with your area and any other area that fits the CDCP certificates, and we will be finding the funds and working with Merit to make sure that they get the support they need to continue. Obviously, that would happen.
I want to say also that the Chancellor's Office, the statewide Chancellor's Office, has a whole non-credit link, and there's tons of resources there. But also the other really key thing for us, we didn't reinvent the wheel in our 2-year design process. We looked across the state for non-credit, especially child development ESOL programs that already existed. Now, these weren't enhanced at that time, but they were wonderful programs that showed us what we needed to do, and we just copied a lot of what we found. So the resources are also there. I also want to give a kudos and a shout out to our curriculum specialists at each college. I can only really speak to Merit, of course, but the people in the curriculum committee at Merit are learning fast about everything to do with non-credit, and they're great resources. I know at the time, for us, it was Clifton Coleman, and he was really instrumental in holding our hand through a very tedious and hard process of getting it through the state. But now I think the curriculum specialists at all the colleges, they really can be a great resource. And in addition, of course, now there seems to be an incentive, too, for faculty.
Great. We have one last question.
Okay, this is for Siri. A little bit more information about the point person. So it's a faculty point person at each campus. How much time are they working? Are they connected to administration? Is that in the process of being put together?
I asked all the VPIs for who the point person is, and I can't recall off the top of my head right now. So we'll email that out. It's administration and faculty, but I'll make sure that I send an FAS to everyone about who to contact and additional information and links and resources for non-credit.
All right, thank you very much for your presentation. Can we give them a hand? All right, can we get to the last slides? Oh, I need to do, we have last raffle, and then I want to just walk through, but before we do the raffle, let's see, my Google slide should come up. A few takeaways from just the few panels. I think this is the first time we've really had faculty experts come up, and I know they are a little anxious and not exactly sure how to talk about the work, and I really appreciate their some of the focus, which was really on a couple things. One is that if we are going to do difficult things, that we have to trust each other, and we have to be able to work together. And that only happens when we actually sit down and break bread and spend time together. And that's one of the things that I think that I want this year to be about, is finding that time and that space to do that work so that we can deal with hard problems. You cannot deal with difficult problems if you don't have trust. You cannot deal with difficult problems if you don't take the time. And so the rest of the day is devoted to thinking about these exact same themes. So the first session is the cookie session. Lunch will be at 12. We have a harpist there, so please come by. It's Constance Koo from the Academic Affairs Office. But I put cookies in those rooms to draw people out with sugar. We have an amazing film on resilience. It's about the science of stress and the biology of hope. It's about how science is looking at adverse childhood experiences, how it manifests in the body. I've been talking a lot with Janine about how do we build a trauma-informed institution, and that has to do with a lot of the policies and our practices. That's led by the mental health folks there. Learning communities. We have a lot of learning communities that are out in the district, but they don't meet together. So how do we begin to build something that connects them together in a way that can help them feel supported at a district and policy level? So like Umoja, Puente, all the first-year experience programs, like we want to build something around them. And Martine and Cleavon will be facilitating that. We have open educational resources. Heather and Andrew will be working on that. And those are free textbooks, right? How do we get free textbooks? How do we lower the cost of entry for students by really using open educational resources? There'll be a discussion about that. They've been rolling, and so this is just kind of an introduction to it for new people. And then I'll be facilitating a panel of students, two from the Undocumented Community Resources Center, two from the Moja program, and another two, one from the Gender Sexuality Alliance, another a student organizer here on campus at Laney. And those are all during 1 o'clock. Sessions 2 are discipline meetings, PFT and classified meetings, tenure review, 1 Peralta, and then at 4 is a dialogue with the district around the budget. Throughout the entire sequence, this time the technology lab, is it 170A that's open? I don't have the number. 178. So you can check out the if you need any help with email or anything else, that the tech lab will be open. Please check that out. All right. So to evaluate today's session, get out your phone, and what we'll do, and then once I'll go through this, and then I'll do the raffle, and we'll be done. Get out your phone and go to socrative.com, and you can do this for every workshop that you go to. You'll click on student login. And the room will be Peralta Flex 1 or Peralta Flex 2. So everyone up top can do Peralta Flex 2. Everyone on the bottom can do Peralta Flex 1. And there'll be a bunch of questions that will prompt you. So we'll get some evaluations from you all. And you'll fill out the same form, but the room will be called Peralta Flex Workshop. So as you're filling that out, we're going to do a couple of raffles, and then we'll be done. We'll move on to lunch. Let's see here. Question? Yes. I'm not exactly sure. So, yes? Yes, okay. So we have, this one's last, 2 more tickets to MOAD. Let's grab this, thank you. Let's see, 978462, the Museum of the African Diaspora. Okay. 978499. Oh no, we're losing, this is, okay, 978473. 978476. This is good data for us, right? 978400. No. Okay, 978416. Oh. 978381. All right, we have 6 things up there. All right, we need to entice folks. 978-521. Are people looking at the ticket? 978-459. Huh? Just give the front row. 978-459. 978-425. Oh, come on. This is, pick a month and then a birthday. 978-4, this is great that people came. 978-434. 447. Anyone have a suggestion? Right here. What's that? 424. 528. 528. 389. 399. Are people not looking? 469. All right. Yay! You're going to get the 2 tickets to MOAD and 2 tickets to Cal Academy. We have 2 more quick, hopefully this will go quickly. We have a membership to the Oakland Museum and lunch for 4 with the Chancellor with a bottle of rum. 444 will be 444. Oh, this person is up at the top. She's coming down. 444. 502. 522. 522. You have a membership to the Oakland Museum. That's 522. Oh, that's 522 ticket. Oh, 522. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. There we go. So over here, they're over here, Tom. Last number 535. This is for lunch with the Chancellor. With a bottle of rum. 382. Lunch for 4 with the Chancellor. 387. All right, we have our last winner. All right, this is for lunch with the Chancellor for 4 and a bottle of rum. Please finish evaluating today's system. I want to thank everyone for coming out and for staying. We should hunt down all the people who missed the end. We will have music at 12, and the workshops will start promptly at 1 o'clock. Please give each other a hand. Thank you very much for coming for today's District Flex, and welcome back to the semester.